That music is not hitting particularly hard right now, Sid. Welcome to the Real Deal, a Real Madrid podcast with me, Jarod Hector, joined by Sid Ramsundar, doing a emergency podcast. Sid, as you know, I'm getting ready to get on a plane in less than 48 hours. I was getting ready to detach and not worry about this club for a while because I'm like, look, man, I got to get away. And of course, what happens? Less than 24 hours after losing to Barcelona 3-2 in the Supercopa final in Saudi Arabia, Real Madrid sack Xabi Alonso after 7 months on the job. How you doing, Sid?
Hey, I woke up, I hit the gym. I know I was just trying to wash the taste off, put that Steve Kerr Tiki Taka episode out. I saw this report that Benzema told Perez to trust Alonso and sign a midfielder for him. I'm like, oh,
and you felt good.
Oh, yeah. And then literally seconds later, that drops. So nobody clicks on the episode. People are like, what is this guy tweeting? And then I'm like, oh, shit, who am I kidding? This is Real Madrid. What was I thinking? Like, of course, because my tweet was like, just listen to the ex-players. Good shit. That's what we need. And listen, I'm trying to speak it into existence. It didn't happen.
It's just wild, Sid, because obviously this is not something that you and I and many of the fan base wanted. We see the structural problems with this team on the pitch, within the setup at Valdebebas, the training facility, and within the business office of the board and Jose Angel Sanchez, Juni Calafat, the whole regime, headlined by Florentino Perez. This is unfortunate, Sid, because I think you and I believe that of the young coaches in the game right now, we think that Xabi Alonso for sure is the best, and he has a bright future ahead of him. And I'm just disappointed that Real Madrid did not give him the opportunity to really showcase what he could do.
Yeah, extremely disappointing. It's a dark chapter in the club's history, no matter how we look at it. I think ex-player has a lot of good attributes, unbeaten with Bayer Leverkusen. Put all that together, and he comes here 6 months, man. Like 6 months after the start of the season. It's just a nightmare timeline. Like, remember how we were talking about how everything's gonna work? The club was building into it, and I'm speechless, to be honest. Like, I was telling you off air, but just to tell everyone, 10 years ago when I started following the team, when Benitez was sacked, there were similar issues. I knew Benitez was more flawed, but a lot of the same issues of refusing to back your coach in certain ways was there. And the club was debating who was going to sack Zidane and take a hit for it. And at that time, I remember thinking, if they sack Zidane, why would I watch this team willingly week in, week out, was my question. And right now, I feel like we're coming off a dark 18 months. And I think the scary part is there's no end in sight on top of all this. This is symptomatic of the bottom falling out. It's the beginning. It's like we're just starting to fall off the cliff.
Yeah, no, I think you're dead on. Like, so it's like you're at the tip, right? And you're about to fall off into this unlimited drop, and that's where we're at right now. We're just over the edge, and I've said it. Like, this is behavior, Sid, like Manchester United. Like, and I heard some people I put this out on Twitter saying, no, we'd be Man U if we kept him. Whatever, we're doing the right thing. The guy said trophies didn't matter. And, fans love to hear what they want to hear. Xabi Alonso never said trophies didn't matter. What he said was, of the competitions that we are in, Supercopa is the least important of the three, which is a factual statement. You all know this. In this club, we prioritize it in this order: Champions League, then the league, then Super Cup. You guys know that. Or I'm sorry, then Copa del Rey, then Super Cup. Like, you know that. That is how this team prioritizes trophies. So that's not even a major trophy. Of the 3.5 major trophies, this was the half. This was the least important of the three. Nothing wrong with what he said there. And by the way, as we said on the breakdown show, Sid, his game plan, given his limitations, was actually right and was working, right? You can only do so much, right? Like, when you have one hand tied behind your back and you're in a boxing match, listen, man, you're only going to last so long, right? Before you get pummeled by the guy with two free hands.
It was so sad just watching the progression. It's like each chapter from when he joined, everything was squeaky clean from day one to Atletico. And outside Atletico, we won almost every game other than Atletico and PSG up till the end of October. And to see Vinny complaining at the end of October, I guess, was the first sign things were
Yep.
deeply wrong.
Yep.
It's like, I guess some people saw signs because Vinny wasn't happy getting benched, but to just go from winning to that,
fair, he wasn't performing. So what? I mean, happy about what? Like, you
Well,
weren't doing shit.
well, it's funny because his underlying numbers were better when he was getting benched than after, and then he just
Shocking.
stopped beating his man. Yeah, and I think there was a lot of stuff being created then of like Vinny was unfairly being benched. I guess that was the beginning because on film, all of us, like all the people who coach, that is not, and like people who view the game critically, not just people who are fans. All the different coaches we talked to that we have advising the show, like it kept popping up that one, Arda wasn't the best in duels, but two, Vinny's not defending. And like we'd win games and there would be sequences in games where people would point out Vinny's not defending well, it doesn't matter. And I just remember thinking because we're winning, people are not noticing. And because we're winning, when he got sat, you can blame the coach and yell at the coach and be like, hey, like we're winning, don't take him off. But yeah, the level of results, like the results being glossed over that time in favor of some underlying process of the players being implemented was very disappointing. Are you seeing the reports that the problem started even earlier with the Club World Cup that was coming out today?
Yeah, that I guess players didn't like how he was trying to implement things. Look, first of all, the club hired him with that in mind. They knew he was a tactician that wanted to play a certain style. Look, you saw the tape at Leverkusen. Don't be out here acting surprised now, being like, "Oh, we didn't know what he was going to do." You knew he was going to bring that in here, and there was factions of the board that said we wanted to add discipline to the team. Now, again, I know I've mentioned this report numerous times, but I'm going to go back to it because it is instructive here. Guillaume Balaguer wrote that Carlo Ancelotti called Xabi and told him, it's not like, and I'm paraphrasing, it's not like we didn't give them instruction during the week before a weekend game. They just didn't do it, right? So Ancelotti tried to implement certain things. Remember, he would always complain, balance. He would say it like ad nauseum. And the club, for whatever reason, did their own thing. Okay. He said this is an issue. He also said Mbappe cares about his records. Vinicius Jr. cares about being a leader in the locker room and worried about his place because Mbappe is here. And Fede Valverde is not mature enough to be a captain and only wants to play midfield. So he told him this is a tough group to coach, and here are three major things you have to worry about.
Why wasn't this something we focused on in the summer? I think it just felt like they would all buy in and listen. I think we took it for granted that we had Zidane, we had Carlo. We're bringing in another coach from the same genre of understands Real Madrid, maybe a little more tactical. But I feel like we took it for granted they would listen. And I admit I was wrong there because I was telling people, anyone who would hear, like, hey, he's going to do what Zidane did for Ronaldo and that team. He's going to get us going. None of that happened. The players didn't listen. And I think this group is just fucking retarded. Like, they're crazy. They're egomaniacs.
And to be clear and fair, right? Because you know me, Sid, I always we talk about the blame pie, right? It's never one person 100% or one thing 100%. There is blame that goes around across the board to everyone. Xabi is not absolved of any blame here, okay? Now, his inability to get his message across effectively to this group of players, part of that is on him. Right now, I will say that he was also handcuffed in that the club did not back him, right, and did not give him that kind of support, a la what we saw happen in Liverpool with Mo Salah, right? When Salah was making his deal, the club immediately backed Arne Slot.
He's assisting and on the pitch in 2 weeks after what looked like the world was collapsing at Liverpool. And for us, the world's collapsing, and like he can come. I hate to admit it, but like, there was that funny tweet going around, like, Vinny's represented by Rock Nation and another agency. They omitted Alonso from his apology on purpose after the Clasico. Yeah, and I didn't want to read into it, but honestly, man, that was some petty shit, and everything fell apart after that. And I can't help but feel this is a case of clear internal. It just feels like internal sabotage, and everyone should pay the consequences. It's like,
no doubt,
it's got a clean house, and the thing is that includes the president. But with that being said, Jarod, one thing I want to touch on: this president doesn't seem like someone who's going to relinquish power that easily in any way. And he seems very cunning in terms
and
of how
he set himself up, Sid, to basically have a fiefdom where he decides when he leaves and who his successor is going to be. there does not seem to be a mechanism by which enough power can be amassed among the board to move him out. That does not seem to be a possibility. And so if that's the case,
well, I think on some level there needs to be someone who is of the same caliber financially competing with him. Not just personal success, but like showing they have the corporate connections, they have the CEO mindset of pushing us into the future. I think if you look at everyone who's been around the club for 40, 50, 60 years since Bernabeu, he stands so far above everyone else that he has earned that. And I totally understand it. A lot of people are saying, like, you know, Florentino's done good. I just think anytime you want to improve, you got to keep the good, you got to leave out the bad. That's just how things go. On some level, like, you might do that once and succeed, then you're going to learn new things that you need to leave out and learn new things to keep. And I think because there's no clear candidate, it's not obvious to people how that'll happen. But and yes, he did change the rules. He did change the rules financially so that he could stay in power. And people are saying that he's going to set up his successor, so it can't be someone who questions him and Rafa Nadal. But the problem with that is it seems like nepotism has hurt the club from a medical standpoint. Everyone's always injured. And how is a new coach going to change that? Like, Carlo got screwed over by the same things. Like, right. Carlo won a Champions League getting screwed over that stuff in 2024, which was a miracle. But
nepotism and cronyism, Sid, are destroying this club, right? Because there are people who just want to hold on to their power. We discussed the nutritionist situation, and I wrote about this on Twitter. That situation in and of itself defines who this club actually is. The fact that a qualified person was brought into a role to help the players with their performance as it relates to how they eat, and that person was undermined by doctors who told players, don't listen to her. She doesn't know what she's...
After fixing Carvajal, so they knew what's coming.
Don't listen to her because she doesn't know what she's talking about. 2, the chef. In the hierarchy of an org chart of a club like Real Madrid, Sid, where do you think the chef would rank in relation to the head nutritionist? Below, you would imagine, right? Like, why would they be? The head chef said, I don't care, I'm not listening to you, and fucking put out pastries and donuts and shit. And that is, Sid, that's amateur level stuff. This is Bush League. Look, Real Madrid loves to purport itself as the greatest club in the history of world football, some kind of gold standard. That type of behavior is not gold standard. That is bullshit.
And that's where we get into the report that Pintus was being forced on him after yesterday. They just decided, hey, like, you guys aren't fit, you're going to let Pintus run that. And I think at that point, Alonso's like, I think his training methods are way too wrapped up with his conditioning, which is how I would do it. I really wouldn't separate those things. Like, those work together. Like, at the end of the day, you have a total amount of battery and juice in your body. You have a total amount of energy. You have to be conditioned
to do what I'm asking you to do tactically, right? If my conditioning doesn't work, then what's the point of, right? Like, it's like a marathoner training like a sprinter. Why would you do that if you're a marathoner?
Well, it's also a load thing because like, the big thing that changed, and I go back to this with Pintus and why he's outdated. Like, I think we got to touch on this. At some point in football, they stopped doing sprints without the ball. Like, it just isn't efficient way of training. Like, you know, Jarod, you've looked at CLA and stuff. I think constraints driven, I think I told you, I think that stuff goes even deeper in soccer, and it's a whole part of the ecology because fundamentally they found that the time you spend running without the ball tires you out without making you better at football. So you might as well make every conditioning exercise constrained by having to play with the ball. And this is what Guardiola did really more, like introducing rondos. Everything is a possession drill in training. And Pintus is the opposite. He runs them separate from this stuff. It might work because on some level, like, it is something that can work. Don't get me wrong. It's just not necessarily the best way. And a coach who's very much focused on maximizing how much his team can learn and implement tactically doesn't have time for that shit because then you'll cross the load which the players can handle with that extra sprint work. This is Pintus, man, and I can.
And by the way,
see why he would resign over that.
By the way, remember, the players were having a mutiny against Pintus last season. They were saying, we're getting hurt here. I'm not really into this Pintus thing. You see, this is part of the problem with this club. Too much focus on results and not enough focus on underlying process, how we get to where we get. Now, I understand results matter. Of course they do. That's how you judge. But how you get to where you get should matter as well. Now, I say that because if we look back, Sid, at the underlying metrics when we started this season, right? Before up to the Barcelona game. Vinny was being benched and, rotated. Like benched, he's being rotated, right? The underlying metrics were outstanding. We led La Liga in XG against, shots, passes in the final third, all of the major. We just were not finishing, okay? Except for Mbappe. Nobody was finishing. That included Vinicius Jr., who was bitching and complaining the whole time. Across the top 5 European leagues, we were among the league leaders across top 5 leagues in all those same metrics. So by every underlying metric, we were a top team in Europe. Clasico comes, Vinny has his meltdown. That changed everything, Sid, because once that happened, and you mentioned in the apology that Vinny did, he left out Xabi Alonso. The story came out that he told Florentino, I'm not going to renew as long as my relationship with this guy is where it is. Instead of punishing Vinicius and backing Xabi like Liverpool did with Salah, they just let it float in the ether. Xabi's like, fuck, these guys aren't backing me. I can't lose Vinny because he's an important point in the locker room. So he gives in. And what happens when he gives in, Sid? They smell blood in the water. This guy can't do shit. We're in charge here. Cool. Over.
I just think there was so much perceived harmony at the time. I get why he didn't want to ruffle the toad. It's like, okay, we won 13 and 14. You want me to do a few things for you?
Classical.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, maybe you've bought yourself some time where you can let the players do some shit. Then it turns out they can't do anything, but they won't go back to playing a more defensive style.
Correct.
And man, it's a whole mess. And then on top of that, obviously there's the coach. There's the reports that he wanted a Zubimendi, and we obviously didn't sign anyone.
Mm-hmm.
That was also pretty crazy. And all things considered, who do you think is still on his side now? There's reports that the locker room just fragmented and Alonso just didn't have the trust of it. There was a video, I don't read too much into it because people are saying don't read into it, but like Alonso was asking the players to do a guard of honor after the game.
And Mbappe said no and told everybody off. Yeah.
And Rodrigo as well was waving it off with him. And
I would say for sure, the players who I think for sure are in their own camp are like anti-Alonso, Vinicius, Valverde, and I think Mbappe. I think those three for sure. I don't know about anybody else.
So you think Mbappe, who got everything he wanted from the coach all season?
Yep.
He was platformed the whole season, though.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Even him.
Why?
I think because he was still resistant to pressing the way he needed to, and especially when Gonzalo Garcia played when he was injured, and he came out and said, I do exactly what the coach asked me to do. He tells me to press, I press, right? Like you guys have to be able to read between the lines sometimes, right? Gonzalo saying that is an admission that this guy knows what he's talking about, and I'm doing exactly what he says, and this is how and look, yes, I know it was against Betis, but Sid, is it any surprise that when you play how a smart tactician is asking you to play, good things tend to happen, right? Those were the easiest 3 goals I think you would ever see, right? Just because he was doing everything in the flow of the game versus when Mbappe was going for his calendar record at the end of 2025, everything looks so forced and stunted and stilted, right? I gotta score. It's like, dude, like just play within what you're being asked to do. You're so good shit will happen. But, so I do think Mbappe was someone who didn't because again, when you're someone like Mbappe who has won a World Cup, who has won the Golden Boot 9 gajillion times, he hasn't won a Ballon d'Or, he's won Champions League. So to be fair,
if this is what he thinks, I think he's stupid. He's never won a Champions League, bro. I
agree.
I think there's such a giant gap between international football and the Champions League, and that's why I think we feed into our own narrative. The Champions League is like a billion times harder competition to win than the World Cup in terms of the peak quality you have to achieve during a game because the opposition are more coordinated. Everything is more difficult. So that's actually why I think I dislike Mbappe. This dude, because if you look at his career, his legacy is riding on being like Pele at this point and winning a couple more because he's not going to be Cristiano or Messi in club football. He's not close. And the only way he's close is numbers. But yeah, this is some shameless shit, man. He stands outside the box, waits for the ball to come to his feet and shoots. Rafinha right now is a better footballer than Kylian Mbappe. And I know Lacante was talking shit about Rafinha last year. Well, bro, Well, Conte's mad at the front office and Mbappe now too. He's cool selling him too because he's like, okay, like second year of Rafinha being better than you, let's sell this guy.
Yo, look, watch that match yesterday. How decisive was Rafinha in everything he did? Not just when they were in possession, out of possession. What was he doing? Sprinting and pressing his ass off. I'm sorry, anyway.
Well, so why do we drink our Kool-Aid? I think that's one thing to touch before we get to Arbeloa. And yeah. I just want to debunk the idea that they were the most successful team. We won 5 in a row at the start, and we won 6 in the last 12 years when we have not retained a league title. Mm-hmm. So that is the context in which we have won the most knockout trophies. So we have the 2 most dominant knockout eras ever. Does that mean we're the most successful club? We went 30 years without winning a Champions League. We won a bunch of leagues then. So I wonder if it's almost ingrained in the club that they think there's a contradiction, because I think they had the youth team that won 5 in a row or something. They won a bunch of La Ligas with a bunch of Castilla guys who came through. I forget the name. Kian and others always bring up that name. But maybe there's a contradiction there where they're like, hey, it doesn't matter. And I think on some level, Florentino realizes the bottom line goes up with the Champions League more than with each league win. It's like, hey, I just need 3 or 4 leagues in a year. It's like 3 or 4 leagues in a decade plus a couple Champions Leagues.
Quinta del Butre. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Quinta del Butre, right. So I think Perez feels like, hey, a Quinta del Butre would not have the same commercial impact as 4 Champions Leagues random, and maybe we don't win the league, but I sign guys who definitely sell jerseys. And when we win the Champions League, we're going to be number 1 in revenue, and I'll use that to stay in power. Like, I think that's how he's thinking, and it's just, man.
Florentino clearly thinking strictly about revenue. By the way, for a club that is, again, generates, no other World Football Club generates $1 billion in revenue. We're not going to do it for the 3rd consecutive season, over $1 billion. Yet, we cry poverty, and oh no, we can't sign this player, we can't sign that player. Here's the thing I want to be clear about what I'm saying here. I am not blaming Mbappe for the state of this team. I'm using that as an example of the problem of the strategies that Florentino uses. And I've asked you this numerous times. Okay, we got him for free. But when we signed him, right, it was a $100 million signing bonus and all the extra add-ons. Coming off of already winning a Champions League the year prior, right? What if instead of that $100 million signing bonus for Mbappe, we use that on other profiles to strengthen this team? What would we look like now with a Xabi Alonso and with those extra signings we made this past summer in Carreras and Housen and this and that and the third?
I think this has been happening I'm realizing this has been happening for 9 years. We just rode Cruz, Modric, Benzema till the dusk.
Yep.
And they just delivered in a way no vets in history ever have at that level.
They masked so many of this team's problems because they were so good. Now, remember, to your point, we did not retain any league titles during that time with them either, right? Because they were vets. They couldn't do it every single match. So they knew that, okay, we'll turn it up and dial it up for the biggest matches, which are Clásicos, Atleti, and tournaments, right? That's when we'll really turn it up. But if the league is out of grasp, we're just going to punt that. We'll worry about this.
Yeah, totally. And I think they rode that group. I'm saying go back to like when we won 2017, bro. That's when it started, because this guy's like looking at the oil clubs. He's seeing the Ronaldo contract thing way back then, because that's what he thinks about all the time. All the financial sheet, Flo's got that down. We know. And so this guy signed Ceballos, which Zidane didn't want. That kind of drove Zidane out the first time, and Ceballos didn't make sense where to play him. Then the signing of Brahim Diaz for no reason, and like some of the signings we made when Zidane came back were only because Zidane requested them. Ferland Mendy, Jovic, like Hazard was the one we signed no matter what because he's a Galactico.
And what a waste that was.
Yeah, but we're not like there's no world where we sign a 50 million defensive like French left back. No way. Like who's not like some goal scoring big name. And that was all Zidane. And ever since then, we've been doing the same thing every summer. Like Carlo he turned lemons into lemonade in 23-24 because it really should have fell out that year. Like, fine, 22, you squeeze one more out of Benzema going God mode and doing something he wanted since he was a kid.
Oh, he turned Jude into the second coming in that 23-24 year. He's like, this guy's good, play him up top. Because again, even in that year where we won the double, right? And we won the league, we won Champions League, and we won Supercopa. Sid, with a critical eye, how many of those matches should we have lost? Lunin turned into peak Courtois during that run. How many times the opponents hit the woodwork? Bayern should have beaten us. Like there were so many matches where we like rescued victory from the jaws of defeat, right? Like when we really shouldn't have, right?
Yeah.
You got extremely lucky. You play that over and over 10 times. We maybe win it one more time. Maybe, probably not. Once, the 1 out of 10, and we should have lost that final Dortmund.
We
Dortmund
played
was
with
crushing us.
We played with fire against Dortmund. I think the fact that Courtois is frankly at Real Madrid, specifically Courtois is near the very top of goalkeeper peaks in history, has glossed over so much. So it's like the aging vets give you enough structure to bring in players without worrying about hierarchy. And then even then your tactics don't work. And Courtois is the reason you get through. The tactics work enough, but really they're dependent on Courtois. And I think the other thing is, how many times do we have, like, look at our 2017 double winning team. Why can't we have like 4 years in a row where we put out a squad like that every year and actually deliver? It's like, okay, we had a good year. Fine. We're going to let things stagnate. We're going to let someone sell. We're going to let you guys become demanding again and then appease you the year after. And he's been doing this for a while. What are your thoughts on the idea that Jose Angel Sanchez he's kind of the sporting counterweight to Perez? And they say that basically he pushed for Alonso and Carreras and all these guys, and Florentino always told him, I'm going to Zidane or Arbeloa if this doesn't work. And Pintus was in his back pocket too.
This is the situation I have Florentino. He does things the way that, and it's true because he was a fan. It's legendary. Go back and look it up. He used to go to games when he was a little kid with his dad, the whole nine. Like, he is a fan of the club. And that's all well and good. And we want that spirit. But bro, you're the president. You cannot think like a fan. Okay. It's been reported numerous times that he believed that Pintus is the secret sauce to us winning Champions Leagues. Bro, what kind of stupid shit is that? Secret sauce? What is the data and metrics that show you when Pintus is in charge, our physical output in comparison to our opponents is better? Show me that.
The only data I would say that exists is 2017, 22, and 24, our performance chasing games was exceptional. And that's the data point he's using to then tell himself. But again, like, the fact that happened has to be separated because of all the flaws. Like, we need to train differently. We need to train with the ball. And if you're training 2 hours with the ball, you might not have energy to do the Pintus method after, or it might cause injuries if you go do that.
Right. And the thing is, I can't, as I said before, I cannot blame the calendar. Real Madrid isn't the only club that has a packed calendar. Every top club has a packed calendar. Yet we seem to be more injured than anybody else. And I'm like, what's happening? And then let's get on to the Florentino on the board and the lack of squad planning and preparation. Sid, I was looking at it this morning. We have 10 people in defense on this roster right now. Whether it be because of injury, their actual ability, or availability. We have 7 of those 10 players on that defense, Sid, who cannot play and who have not played consistently this season. 7. That means we have 3 left. How can you be an effective team with 7 of your team? What?
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. And on that note, one thing people criticized Alonso for was not playing youth guys. It's like, okay, your first team's injured. You don't have guys to play. And your first teamers can't pass as well. So why can't you play the young guys is a question. Now, firstly, I do think that these guys see them in training more. So obviously there's an element of that. But like, I think they know that they may not deliver before if they choose not to play them.
So you said, why doesn't he play young guys? Well, if he gave in to the players and said, okay, I'm cutting video sessions, I'm not going to bench Vini, you think he could then say, I'm going to play young guys?
Young guys? Yeah. He can't. He loses his credibility.
He neutered himself, right?
Yeah. So that's his flaw, and he wasn't helped by the club. If he had that Mourinho streak, and I think, so the main thing with Arbeloa he has is that Mourinho streak. I believe Arbeloa sided with Mourinho during the days of the fighting between the Spanish national teams and the whole poking Villanova's eye and all that stuff going on. So this is a soldier we can trust. And
look, I am skeptical about what Arbeloa is going to be able to do, mainly because, first of all, you already see the little leaks that are going out from the factions within the club, right, on the board.
So many.
Arbeloa will be more Ancelotti-like, all right? That's already been leaked. oh, okay, so a hands-off approach is how he's going to be. Let the players do whatever they want, right? More man management, less tactical. Like, I just look again, whether it's Arbeloa, whether it's Enzo Maresca, whether it's Jurgen Klopp, whether it's freaking the second coming of Jesus Christ, it don't matter. If this club is going to continue to not give the coach the authority to do what he has to do, back him, and sign, forget about, just have the proper depth in place, right? As I said before, we have 10 defenders. 7 out of 10 of those players this season have not been able to play more than 3 consecutive matches in a row. Like, what are we doing? Like, that's,
Yeah.
you can't operate at top level football with stuff like that.
Yeah. And so I guess before we even jump into Arbeloa, there's a lot of contradictory information, I guess, that we should get into that in terms of who's doing what, like all the projection coming out about like who's going to be like Carlo or what he's going to do. I'm looking at Pepe Alvarez first. So Pepe Alvarez, that account that's supposed to be tied to someone's camp in the club. It clearly is. Like, too many people follow it. It is projecting someone's idea of something. What
did he say?
He said that Xabi Alonso wanted Upamecano when he was asked about free agent options a few months ago in December 31st. Then it said Xabi hasn't been fired. He's resigned, exhausted from the ego and the constant lack of respect from the locker room that have intensified this week in Arabia and due to the total lack of support from the club these past months. I will say this. Jorge Picon, who I met when I was at the Real Madrid event in Chicago, he actually said that Alonso was sacked. So listen, when Mourinho left, I knew it was mutual because he wanted to go to Chelsea. So on some level, we knew like he just wanted to break contract, didn't need a payout. I don't really see what's happening here. Like, I get that Alonso might have resigned, but it's not even fully obvious if that's exactly what happened.
I think he got fired. I think he, based on how we played last night and 3-2 with the limitations, I think he said, okay, if I can get us to the finish line, right? And over the summer, I might have a chance to really work in some new stuff. I think he was looking long-term. I really do. I think the club just fired him because that's what they do. They're reactionary, right? Florentino's extremely reactionary. No process involved. No looking at the underlying metrics and saying, when we actually played the way you wanted to play, we weren't finishing, but damn. And yes, it was like, oh, it's boring football. Oh, guess what? Sometimes it's got to be boring, okay? Like, that's just how it works sometimes. Teams were literally doing nothing. The XG against us during that first 15 games was ridiculously low.
Yeah.
Because Courtois had no work to do because we just stopped. Nope, we just won the ball back and we had it. We were dominating possession.
Yeah, and going through Pepe Alvarez's other comments, he said Alonso, they wanted to impose Pintus on him starting tomorrow, and there was brutal disrespect from this account, says Fede Valverde, Jude Bellingham, and a few others. Fede, I understand. Jude, I don't know.
The Jude one, my thing is, I think there's an agenda against him, particularly by Spanish media, for sure. Because he's English and he's black and the whole thing. Jude doesn't strike me as someone who's anti Xabi Alonso. Like, that's not the vibe I get.
I would say even beyond the black, they hate English midfielders. There's like, it's like an aesthetic thing. Because like, I've seen I would say it's more so with Camavinga and Tchouaméni that they would say it's black. Here's the thing. That's the sad thing. They had all these metrics. They were supposed to be all-round players, and some of these guys didn't be. And as a result, Jude is getting scapegoated for that the most of all of them. And when he's the one who can score the most goals. So that's what I find a little strange.
Right.
The other thing is, what's it called? The account saying this, I just wonder, like, okay, like, are you a competing faction with Bellingham?
Right.
Right. I'm just like, is this an Mbappe camp trying to throw shade on Jude?
Right.
And lastly, this one is the brotherly relationship between Xabi Alonso and Arbeloa has deteriorated in recent weeks.
God.
Well, I feel like I feel like they're selling smoke on some level, but I also think there's some truth. It's a lot of mixing, and I don't know what to make of that, but I still don't know what to make of that account, to be honest. It's just all weird. Like, I feel like Arbeloa is just here to finish what Xabi started in many ways. But yeah, just some interesting tidbits.
I want to touch on this because someone brought it up here in the chat. The Spanish fans hate Jude a lot. He has gained fame of being a drunk. Who knows if it's true? Like, this thing with Jude going out and clubbing and being drunk, in the age we live in now, with cell phone camera videos, by now we would see tons of footage of him out. I've not seen one video of this. Where is it? I've not seen it.
Yeah, and I as far as I can tell, I haven't even spoken to him about this, but going through LeConte's tweets, I don't think it's him. I'm pretty sure this is an attempt to scapegoat him, and like that's why I say we talk to coaches and coaching minded people and tactical people across. They're all saying this is not on Jude. Like we've all triangulated on this from different areas, different first principles approaches, and that's why and inherently a lot of the drunk criticisms are in the Spanish language. Inherently, if you're not even on Twitter when you see it. I understand. Listen, I think the Spanish fans are sick of seeing a team without Pausa, and they're letting it out on Jude. I get it. He's English. He comes from England. Like this is the land of Pausa. Jude is more Pausa oriented than some of his predecessors, but like the gap in Spain is still huge, and you see it when a random Zubimendi comes on for Spain and just cooks. And we don't sign him, but it's funny. The fans who call Jude drunk who are mad still understand like the problem better than Perez because they know.
And Jude, he is a victim of his own elite ability, right? It's like, okay, Carlo used him as a false nine, right, in his first year, and he scored all those goals. Last year, he kind of had to play both, right? A little bit false nine, a little bit deeper. It's the same thing happening now because Xabi Alonso realized, okay, I need you up closer to the box to help us lay cut, but nobody can help us win duels or in build up. So you have to play, right? Because Arda can't do it. Like, so because he's so good, like, all right, I'm going to pull him back here now. And so he's constantly being yo-yoed from here to here to here because of his ability to be versatile. But this is where, Sid, your versatility can hurt you.
Yes, but interesting thing here, Jarod. I know you were talking earlier. Who posted about Xabi? Do you have the list here? Who posted about Xabi and who didn't?
Posted what?
A farewell. Like the whole, you were listing that, remember?
Yes. I did not see Jude. I saw Fede do it. Housen did it. Carreras did it. Goulart did it. Mbappe did it.
By the way, Mbappe, I don't know, man. Just something's fake about him, dog. That didn't.
Listen.
What did you learn, bro? You did not sprint. You did not sprint when he asked you to press. You did not learn shit. What
I want fans to understand is like, as much as we're looking at this and it's funny, like who said thank you, who didn't, whatever. You can read things into it, but you also can't read things into it. In that, the players that are well trained by their entourages on what to do and always look good in the right light are going to do the right thing always, whether or not that's how they actually feel, right? And Mbappe is this kind of person, right? He's always going to say the right thing in the media. No, it's not just about me scoring goals. We have to do he's going to say all of that because he's well PR trained. However, when you watch him on the pitch, what does it look like to you? Is it about we scoring goals or is it about me scoring goals? Okay? Like, listen, LeBron does this in the NBA. Like, because there's a game you have to play, right? It's about your brand and looking good. And there's so much involved. And I think for fans, Sid, what they often miss is, because most of us played sports growing up, you think about how it was when you were a kid, right? When you played sports, it was just about the game, winning and losing, and that's all that mattered. But none of us played at this height of a level, and none of us are personal brands worth hundreds of millions to billions of dollars to companies, right? We're not. So we don't understand the game you have to play of, I have to look a certain way in my public facing on my social media, so it appears that everything's all good, but really behind the scenes, I'm a malcontent. I don't like this. I don't like that. There's so much. And again, when you're not in there, you don't have sourcing inside the locker room, it's hard to judge. Because remember, anytime a source tells you anything, unless you can get confirmation from other people who were present, you're only getting one side of a story, right? And you're not getting the full picture.
Absolutely. And man, so much went down. And I would love to be on Fly on the Wall for sure and learn more. And I think more answers will come out in due time. Just we're here, we're sniffing around.
And we know the team's leaking stuff. We know that, right? Like, it's just, you can see based on what the reports are, you know where it's coming from. Oh, all of a sudden it's, Xabi's relationship with the players have deteriorated massively over the last 4 days. This is the final straw. Like, you know what side it's coming from. And that's the thing. That's what's hard for fans to keep track of. Everybody who has a vested interest has their ability to leak stories to the people they want to leak stories to. And within an organization that is trying to win at the highest level, you can't have this many disparate groups. You got it's not even Sid, it's not even the players are all in one camp. The players are all in their own individual camps.
What's interesting is that's always been a thing. There was the Ronaldo camp and the Spanish camp back in the day. There were two different camps. So like James, Marcelo, Ronaldo would hang out, and then you'd get Sergio Ramos would have his own little clique. But it worked. And I mean, again, Sergio Ramos and Ronaldo were great leaders, like who would will us over the line in games. And
because there are certain players who can put that aside. And they're also so great. I mean, Ronaldo's arguably the greatest player of all time. So he can elevate himself to a level of...
He said, we don't have... Bale, Benzema, and I don't have to be friends. Because the whole thing was Messi and Suarez are good friends. That's why they play together at Miami.
Right.
It's like their spouses get along and all that.
Right.
Like,
great.
Yeah, great. Good for you. But Ronaldo said, I don't have to get along with Bale and Benzema to play well. Yeah, there was a professionalism, get the job done about him. With Mbappe, it's like, get mine and get out. And
not get the job done for us. Get mine and get out.
And even though I just want to emphasize Ronaldo's body language was bad if sometimes he didn't get the ball. If a teammate scored, he wouldn't celebrate as loud. Mm-hmm. But man, I just think all those things are passable if you're willing to head the ball. If you're scared of getting a concussion, get the fuck out of here with that shit. He's scared of getting a concussion, bro. You're paid $50 million a year. Go get surgery for the concussion, bro. Like, you're scared of you want to get the records, win the Champions Leagues, and leave with an intact head. No, you're giving that up. You get CTE. You get CTE like Ronaldo if you want to be a great, bro. You got to give up something.
You get CTE.
And that's the thing. Like, I just think at this point they make so much money. How are you bitch made like that? Like you I get it because I'm scared of heading the ball, but I'm Sid, bro. I'm not Mbappe.
I'm Sid. Look, Sid, I think we're heading towards dark times, my friend. I really do. I just, because what we're asking of this club to do is be critical of itself and have a critical eye and do critical self-examination. I don't think they have the ability to do that. And so if that is the case, they're just going to continue to do what they do, which is we're just going to sign the next. Also, I said this on the last show. We spent $180, $200 million, whatever it was, this past summer in those signings. What are the odds Florentino does that again this summer? Probably not likely. Probably not likely.
Well, yeah, so I guess we have Arbeloa, and then separately we have Florentino, which are two different beasts and completely different things to break down. And I like this comment. The Vini issue definitely played a major role in his sacking.
100%.
Perez backs Vini over Alonso all day. I like Vini, but it's time to leave. Yeah, I like Vini. And as other people are asking, then to jump to Miriam.
One thing I'll say about Vini, Sid, that game against Barcelona yesterday, this season, how many games like that has he had?
Okay, yes. Now, my only concern is how do you replicate that with the medical situation at the club? Because, listen, we are literally taking genetic royalty.
Yes, cake eater, zero. Exactly.
We're scraping the gold off their genetics and like leaving it with nothing but like rust. It's like we're rusting their genetics and leading it to decline and decay. We could leave everything we touch better off, or we could do this stupid shit. And listen, Jarod, I love Vini, and I don't know how 24. I don't know how 24 happened anymore, because I guess at that point maybe the sabotage wasn't as high. As far as the nutritionist stuff seems to suggest that next season.
He was only 24 at that point, so he was still peak genetically. But when all that running into the ground, now at 26, ain't working, or how old he is, ain't working anymore. Now we're on a decline.
A good decade at the top requires a lot of things to go right. You can have a good 5 years. I think that's why you see guys flame out faster. It's like Hazard 2013 to 18, 19. Then let's
just look at forget about doing the LeBron comp in NBA. Look at Ronaldo. Why was he still to this day? Why is he still so good? Because he is insane about his body and spends ridiculous amounts of money on making that. Yeah, the team is telling, Ronaldo, he's probably like, yo, fuck your medical staff. I got my guys who I trust. This is what I'm going to do, right? Because I'm trying to be the best version of myself.
Yes, and Ronaldo remains the one guy to have his own. I think he had the best staff team, medical team outside Real Madrid. Like, he had his own guys. He trusted them. And listen, I'm a full advocate for that now. Just looking at how these teams are. Oh, my God. Like, screw pitching the teams. Just pitch these players. They're in monkey circuses. Well, maybe I'm biased. I'm looking at Real Madrid. I got to pitch the teams. Remember, we're not every team is stupid. Not every team is stupid too, so we got to find out the balance here. But I will say Ronaldinho is brought up a cake eater, is washed at 27, 12 months after winning the Ballon d'Or, and Ronaldinho is better than Vini too. By the way, I think Vini's, like, I will say this in defense of Vini, 23-24, what he was able to achieve for the team,
outstanding.
That's like, it's up there. Like, like it's up there, man. Even per 90, I think it's up there with Dino. But listen, I think Vini's more motivated than Dino. In Brazil, there is a history of players not having motivation. They have a lot of entourage with them, people who aren't the best influence, who are like, hey, let's go party, and they listen to them instead of thinking, hey, like I have a limited amount of time to maximize my earning window, which they don't always do. Vini definitely does not strike me like that. I think he's a lot more focused than most Brazilians. He got raised by Cruz and Modric, not by corrupt Barcelona, whatever it happened. But not that it was Barcelona's fault that Ronaldinho was like that. I just think the entourage was like that with him. So I don't think Vini's guaranteed to go that way. But man, like it's the thing with Vini and Mbappe. You guys have no height. You don't have an aerial game. So your off-ball game is based on speed. And with Vini, like your off-ball game is not as good as Mbappe. So you need your on-ball game to be on. And you know, your on-ball game is literally the most breakneck on-ball game we've seen in the last decade. Like it's like one of the craziest. So yeah, I worry about that. I worry about those hard jolts. Okay, just look at that last touch he took in the goal. Okay, how many times can you even do that dribble without burning out if you're not? It's hard. Like that last touch was peak reaction time. I just don't know if you sustain that.
Not sustainable.
Also, just the evidence of this season, I feel like maybe he did extra training work during winter break, and maybe that paid off here. But during the season, it's been like one good game beating the fullback, one game not beating the fullback. It's like, and Koundé has always looked easy. Koundé just sucks. He got locked up by Connor Bradley. So
locked up by Connor Bradley.
How much of that was also just Koundé and Kubarsi being kind of bums on defense? Honestly,
they're certainly not faster than him. They're just right. So like that's always able to beat them. Like this is what I mean. I just don't. Look, that one-dimensional where it's all about your speed and power, being able to just go by everybody. If you lose a tenth of that, Sid, you're cooked in many ways against elite opposition. And I'm sorry, Connor Bradley is nobody's definition of a lockdown right back, is he? Like, I mean, but he locked him down. Like, he had no shot at beating him in any foot race. And that was surprising.
And that's literally the opposite of the Vini that we signed. The Vini we signed is hard to beat in a foot race, explosive, and just goes at you 100 times. So I think it is really worrying where Vini's at. I don't know what you do. So the front office has big questions, and I think the rest of the season is that audition. Kind of like when Solari and Zidane did it 6 years ago or 7. But the difference is, like, there's no Cruz, there's no Modric, there's no Benzema. And, like, it's scary because, like, Mbappe and Vini technically produce similar or more. Like, Mbappe produces more than Benzema did at that time. But, like, damn, we would kill for that Benzema up front now. Just, it's interesting. Like, and that goes back to Rafinha is more impactful than Mbappe. So I think for Arbeloa, where it has to start is, can you make some of these high-end attacking guys run? And, like, the same question we had for Alonso. And if they don't, like, can you play the Castilla guys, Thiago Pittarch and all these guys? Can they help you escape the press? Can they play well with our current midfield? I think with Arbeloa, we're going to have to go in the direction of Castilla.
I mean, yeah, and I hope he does because he was there and knows those guys and hope he has the authority to play them. But again, if you're playing Castilla guys, that means you have to bench first team guys. Who is he going to be allowed to bench?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean,
honestly, Sid, where it should happen is Wednesday's game against in the Copa del Rey.
I actually think Wednesday is going to tell us everything. Like, as far as like how aggressive this guy's going to be. I mean, it seems like he has no worries about burning bridges with any player. So let's just go start there.
He shouldn't.
Or with anyone at the club. Like, he sided with Mourinho because he's really like militant in terms of loyalty towards standards, discipline, enforcement on some level. Also, just look at him as a player. I will say this. His style as a player is exactly what we need. Like, we talk about Alonso and overplaying Goulet. Arbeloa is literally a defense-first right back. Like, he was way more defensive than Carvajal. Carvajal smoothened out that right-hand side a lot. It was rough, man, on offense with Arbeloa. But you know what that means? That guy thinks
a lot of Mendy, if Mendy's healthy.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I mean, Arbeloa is he's a bit like Lucas. I feel like he's the kind of guy who would play like a defensive Lucas Vasquez over Mbappe. And I just want to see some of that. And I'd love to see Mbappe asked to run. It would be so funny if he's like, Mbappe run, and he doesn't, and then he just benches him, like takes him off during a game. Like, hey, front three, you all come off. Like, screw all of you.
Would love it. Would love it. I mean, I doubt it, but I would love it.
Well, I think the upside of Arbeloa is, I think when you have a toxic environment like this, Jarod,
Toxic is the word. It is toxic.
Yes, and I think it's so toxic. I personally believe in sinking the boat if it's like too toxic. Just sink the boat, go, and like whoever can get off gets off the boat. Whoever survives survives. I don't think
agree.
this ship needs to continue, and I think a provocative guy who's willing to go and like honestly, I think he's gonna be very provocative. I think he's almost like a militant troll for these Galacticos who don't want to defend. He'll be like, oh yeah, you don't want to defend. You're like, I'm benching you, and I think he can use Mbappe's records as leverage against. Hey, you want records? You're getting benched. Cristiano never got benched, but you suck, so I'm benching you. Like,
oh man, it is.
That's what I think we have to do. And then Vini, it's like, hey Vini, like you think you're getting that new deal of playing like this? Like that's what I think he's got to talk. Like, go torment these guys. You need that military locker room like bullying. That's what these players deserve to get bullied right now, Jarod. They get paid enough where they deserve to. They get paid enough to handle that stuff.
Yes, I agree. There is a way in which the players need to be spoken to, like in the realities, right? I talked about this before. One of my favorite things when I talk to NBA players when they're being honest is about film session, because you can't lie during film session. Whatever bullshit you tell your coach, no, that's not what happened. He missed the screen assignment. We're supposed to switch. Okay, cool. But when we go watch film the next day and we lay it all out, so what happened? You just told me this. Here it is right here. Explain yourself. That accountability in front of the group, not just to me one-on-one. Why did you let your teammate down in this scenario? Right? Explain to them. Why did you do that?
Yeah.
That's what right? Where you hold them accountable peer to peer, where it's like Mbappe, where it's going to be obvious where it shows, yeah, I was only caring about my records, not about you. Right? We know. We see it, my guy. We saw.
Yeah, now Miriam says, is Vinicius done at Real Madrid, in particular La Liga, because of his style, seems suited to Bundesliga and the Premier League with vast spaces to run into? I just want to emphasize, if you're not willing to do the film, you're not suited to any top 5 league in Europe.
Correct.
Like, if you're not willing to watch film, and if that's how you think, and also if your one-on-one ability fluctuates from game to game, you're going to look a lot like these last few games when Vinny's not finishing, where it looks like cool danger, but he's not actually creating that last bit of separation, doesn't actually go in. So then what looks dangerous becomes wasteful. Yes, Vinny has the heart to constantly get into open space in those leagues. But I actually think that like the better you are as a player, the less that shit matters. That shit
what matters?
The league difference. It's like half court versus full court, transition versus box. All that shit matters when you're not good. When you're the best in the world,
it doesn't matter what scenario.
Exactly. And that's why, like, yes, Vinny has become a little too transition oriented, and Carlo was able to take advantage of him these 4 years. Because of that, Zidane was perhaps not able to spark him the same way. But I just think any great team is going to play in the half court. Arsenal play in the half court. Man City will play. Bayern Munich play in the half court. PSG play in the half court. When we're good, when we're pressing teams late in games, it's not transition. It's still like circulation. Like a lot of those comebacks, we have good sequences when we're finally down. So I think on some level, you got to be able to watch film and fit into a concept. That's not changing just because you leave La Liga. And again, like maybe, you know what does change in those places? You probably get like good chefs who listen to their nutritionists.
They're not putting out croissants and donuts and shit before games.
Yeah.
Listen, I am hoping for the best, because obviously I support this club. We support this club. We want Real Madrid to do well. But as you all heard me say numerous times, hope is not a strategy. It's just not. Hoping and wishing we do things differently is not strategy. I want this team to club to actually take things seriously and recognize here are all the mistakes that we've made over the last decade plus, right? Like, listen, the business side and the commercial side doing so well. We're making all this money, but Flo, every time a big time name comes up that's a Galactico, that's not what we have to do, right? We have to look at where do we have holes on this squad? Clearly, the defensive line. We need massive reinforcements. See, I was looking at our midfield. So we got Jude, Camavinga, Fede, Tchouaméni, Goulet, and Ceballos. We have 6 midfielders. Of those 6, 2 of them, you have questions about where and whom they can play against, right? In Ceballos and Goulet. That leaves you with 4. Of the remaining 4, only 2 of them have elite technical ability in Camavinga and Bellingham.
Yeah, and at this point, Camavinga plays like a quarter of the season.
That's why I said 2.
And in big games, he's basically like the same player when he joined. He's like hot or cold in terms of press resistance and everything.
How
saw
is
that
that
this Clasico?
How is that feasible for a club that thinks it's trying to win major tournaments? You have one midfielder with elite skill. One.
Yeah, and I will say, like,
Oh,
man,
I'm sorry. Elite technical ability. Excuse me. They all have elite skill. Elite technical ability.
Well, it's tricky, and maybe you rely on Trent, and then Trent gets injured, but you're not as deep as you used to be, where you kind of cover for injuries anyways. That's where it starts. Yeah, Camavinga is the same player he used to be when he joined 5 years ago, for sure. That's really crazy. And I think as far as Arbeloa, any other expectations? I don't know too much about the young players specifically who might break through, but when Solari came in, he did have Vinicius kind of come through, and he also brought Marcos Llorente through, who he sold, who the club was mad at for selling and not playing him as our defensive midfielder of the future over Casemiro.
Yep.
I think, I mean, obviously I expect to go trophyless. What do you have to say to people who suddenly expect things to work? Because I'll bring up this comment. One guy said, you don't give Endrick a chance on the same day he scores a goal for Lyon far outside the box. No Real Madrid player can score like that. Get him out, Arbeloa in. Great decision, they say.
Guys, Endrick and Nico Paz and Arbeloa are not rescuing this team and turning them into Champions League winners. Like, I don't know what you have to watch to understand that it's not about sacking this coach and bringing this one in. It is clearly has nothing to do with that, because any coach that's out right now that we would want to get, whether that's a Jurgen Klopp, Enzo Maresca, whomever, is going to demand certain things from its front three. Same things Xabi Alonso demanded, which those front three clearly did not want to do. So all of a sudden they're going to do it now for this new coach? And the club still has its issues in its squad, pieces fitting together, and lack of depth. Are you going to fix that?
Well, so under Solari, what happened was he found a lineup and he got them running. If you recall vaguely, Vini was playing well. They lost to Ajax, and before that, basically that lineup started getting injured once they started running. So that's the other thing. You might get them running. They might get injured as soon as you get them running. So
because you got some kind of Mickey Mouse medical staff. Like, I mean, you know.
Yeah, and it's looking bad. I will say, I don't think we're winning any trophies this season. The big worry is
trophies this season.
The big worry is
you know what's funny? And I know somebody got on me in the last show about like, oh, Jarod saying Barcelona's not good, Hector, blah, blah, blah. Like, Sid, come on. Barcelona, we talked about how bad this club is. And we had numerous opportunities to not only tie that game, possibly win that game against Barcelona.
Barcelona lost to PSG earlier this season as well. Listen, they're a good team in terms of results, but they're not on the echelon of Arsenal. And I think the main thing is they can get there, and they're winning a lot of points. They're on track for 98 points in the league or whatever.
Right.
But
they can score goals. They can score like nobody's business.
Yes, but I think they have the same flaws as last season. I agree someone should beat them in the Champions League, but they weren't dominant for sure. There's a lack of, I think that's what makes this upsetting for us. There isn't too much dominance in Europe right now, and we're just sitting on all this revenue, all this money, all this institutional credit from winning, and we're literally just
lighting it on fire.
Well, we're going to we're not even shopping with it. Like we're it's like you have all this money to go shop and buy the nicest car you need, and we're going to a used dealership or trying to strike like secret deals at the nice dealership only, like for like cut rate deals that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, and this mentality of Florentino that we don't make any moves in January because players are too expensive then. I'm sorry, a blanket policy like that when you have clear, known issues on this team, unless you are saying we will bring up someone from Castilla to play center back or whatever, which they're not doing either. It can't be both. You cannot do both.
Agreed. You can't have it both ways. So it's going to be so annoying to watch this play out. Florentino has power, and like Rafa Nadal is like 5 years away from being able to run for president. Like, I just mentioned him because, again, institutional capital, name, all these things also matter with running for president of Real Madrid. Jarod, would you run for president someday?
I need some more time in socio, but I listen. I would totally do it, man.
I'm not associate. I don't know if we got to make sure the whole Real Duel crew gets in, just in case any one of us want to run someday. Because like, what, 20 years? Shit, that's a long time, man.
Listen, we'll show you guys how to do this. All right, I'll show you how to do this, son. Look, we will put together elite at every level, not just friggin' on the pitch. I'm talking tactics. I'm talking nutrition. I'm talking literally fucking the way you clean the freaking hallways is going to be elite. Everything is going to be about championship excellence.
The hallways, Jarod, that's where it's at. I really think that's where it starts. Cleanliness throughout, accountability, transparency, sunlight, and like clarity, incentive, motivation, working in unison at the same goal. We just don't play for the same thing anymore. Yeah, and I will say we were a little soft on Kylian because I just feel like everyone's trying to scapegoat him too high on the blame scale. But now he is a symptom of the culture and a part of the culture. So now when you talk about changing it after Alonso, like he's been here through 2 coaches now. So, and like he earns the most money. Like it was one thing the first 18 months, like, okay, like we'll try something different with Alonso. Maybe Carlo didn't work. Now though, it's a whole different story. And I think it's just time to clean house now. I think the thing is this could be the window where like Kylian leaving, if there's ever a possibility,
this could be the window.
Shit needs to hit the fan right now.
Yep.
Shit needs to get worse. Yep. There needs to be like protests outside the Bernabeu. Mm-hmm. Like it needs to be crazy. And I actually hope for like things to fall apart. Like, look, truly,
we're not going to win a trophy this year. So I mean, it's going to be 2 years in a row with no major trophies. Like, we're not winning the league. We're not winning Champions League. And if we get Barca in the Copa del Rey final, definitely not winning that. Like,
and that's where like. People talk about rooting against your club, but like I think it's really only warranted when you need to destroy complacency on such a deep level like we do now, where defeat is the only thing that'll prevent it. Any victory, dude, if we win the Champions League, we're fucked. If we get the easiest draw, let's say we get a 2016 draw where we're playing Wolfsburg and like maybe we play some team like that Man City where everyone's hurt and it's not a good team. Maybe we play Chelsea, like that's a good example. They're not that good. And then we make it all the way to the final. And what if the final is a team that's like just tactically not having it that day?
And Courtois just plays like God mode with 85 arms and just stops everything.
Yes, and
Mbappe goes on a crazy run and like does something like out of the ordinary, and we win 1-0 or 2-1.
But I'm looking back, and we could do something well those years, which was we could still defend. Like we could still defend and counter a Guardiola team. We went to Munich and beat them 4-0 with Ronaldo and Bale on the wings. No talk of who's defending. First leg, we set up in a block at the Bernabeu. There was no talk of like who's tracking who. It's like Bale's playing deep, 4-4-2. Ronaldo, you're the man up front. We're finding you. Everyone else defend. We're compact. And like, yeah, and Ronaldo would arrive in the box though. That's the key. Like he would actually go. He wouldn't wait for cutbacks because he's scared of concussions. Also, someone in the comments, I haven't brought it up. He said like, yes, but Mbappe can shoot outside the box. Okay, bro. So could Ronaldo. I don't know if you've seen his highlight reel of his career. He was
shooting
better
outside the box. Let me tell you about that dude shooting outside the box. My God.
Yeah, like it's like they're trying to like Mbappe is at best half as good at shooting outside the box as Ronaldo.
At best, Ronaldo fucking elite shooting outside the box. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, it was disgusting. And even Bale. That's the thing. We went from guys who could score 30-yard free kicks and like do bicycle kick headers and shit to these guys who are scared of headers, man. I can't believe it. I always felt that was off, Jarod. I just went too much with... my bias is this. I think I got biased. Like reputation, statistics.
In terms of what? In terms of Xabi Alonso?
Just expecting more from these guys who can't fucking head the ball when obviously you just force them to go ball to feet every day and they're just going to become a predictable mess. You just can't play through the trees of people's legs all the time. You need to be able to go over the top. And yeah, I think that should have been more obvious. I apologize. I think I was very naive.
Well, no, I think what it was is you saw the potential if they were able to gel under a tactician who you believe has really good ideas, which we still believe that Xabi Alonso does, what that could look like. And besides Mbappe, nobody was really finishing early in the season, right? Like you saw he was finishing, right? So I have to give him credit for that. He was definitely doing that. But the rest of the team just wasn't able to gel in a flow state in the way that we needed them to, right? You know, a lot of factors, of course, Club World Cup, no real preseason, guys not listening, buying in, all the reasons that we talked about, you know? It's a shame. Look, I want to close here, Sid. I do I know we did this. I do wish Xabi Alonso much success in the future. I think we both think he's going to be an elite coach in world football for a long time. I think he's headed to the Premier League. And let me tell you, he goes to Liverpool or City.
They got their coach of the future now. He's the number one coach on the market. Did you see there was a tweet saying Alonso being sacked changes the coaching market?
Mm-hmm.
He's the top coach on the market. I think Man City were very concerned that Company had gone to. But I would be concerned if I were them that their club legend, who would have been fit like a glove, is there, and they're losing Pep at an inconvenient time. Ideally, it coincides. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? A solution landed on the market from your glorious philosophical football rivals who spit it out of their machine because they don't know what they're doing with him. And I will say, Leverkusen never won a trophy for 30 years before he did that shit. So this shit's going to happen again, man. And I hate to see that the coaching market changed. Just reading that made my blood boil. I'm like, oh, yeah, of course. Like, we fuck around with this guy, and now someone's going to succeed with him.
And now, watch out. He's a guy that we're not going to want to play in the Champions League, right? Because, you know, he's going to do his thing with that club. He's going to have players that are going to buy into his system, and they're going to run circles around us if we continue along the way we're doing.
I hope Zidane doesn't come back until we change president, ever. I hope Zidane... The only thing about Zidane is he's such a big brand, like bigger than Alonso. And I think on some level, he's always going to be soft-spoken. Like, yes, he came out and said Lamin's my favorite player to watch, which was instructive, by the way. For all you haters out there, I'm just saying, like, playmaking is what Zidane valued too. Like, that's what he... Forcing a double and getting someone open, that's what Zidane's football style is. And that's why he appreciates Lamin. But I think in general, Zidane is not the type to publicly battle against the president unless he had to, which he was forced to last time. Mm-hmm. But I just hope he doesn't come back, man. I hope he doesn't come back because, like, at this point, if we don't succeed with this president, like, again, he comes back, he's going to be dealing with the same shit he did last time.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Nothing's going to change. Like, Florentino, like, he's given no indication that he will do anything different than what he's doing right now. So,
and I just say that because, like, you know, I think even he knows how lucky he was in this circus of everything that happened. And I think he's well aware that things would have to be perfect to even get a chance at replicating those results, let alone, and if things aren't perfect and things are the way they normally are, he knows that coming back is a one-way ticket to dragging his name through the mud, which is what they like doing. And, you know, Florentino, his whole way of leaking things to the media, I think it's completely outdated. Shit's not working. A lot needs to change, man. It's a long, slow, dark time.
Yeah, listen, dark times, man. Dark times ahead, Madridistas. Dark times.
Well, Jarod, you got vacation coming up.
I do. I'm excited for that. Thank you guys all for tuning in. We appreciate it. Please like the video if you haven't liked it so far. Drop in the comments. Subscribe, please. Share it with other people. It'll be up on Apple and Spotify later, so you want to listen to the audio-only version. I will be back in time for Villarreal, Yellow Submarine.
Yep. We'll be covering post-game shows when Jarod's gone too. We got plenty going on. So yeah, Jarod will be back later. Oh yeah, once again, lastly, if you have any tips, if you have any anonymous tips or whatever info, I guess we haven't put the anonymous tip line yet, but if you want to tell us something, please do. I think we'll talk more about the factions and the media stuff with Xavier on our next episode. He'll be on.
A lot of factions.
Well, thank you all.
Take care, guys.